It's harder with less tables, I guess, with fewer tables. Yeah. Welcome everyone to the meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to the meeting. Thank you for coming. Is there any need for translation? Okay. Great. I will accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. We will go ahead and move on to the student representative reports.
Okay. So right now there isn't much going on at OHS besides just prom planning for the seniors. We're still in like the works. We're choosing between like red carpet and then like a night in paradise or something like that. I don't know. And then we're having like our new ASB executive members join us for the next ASB meeting. We're excited for that. Spring sports are off to a good start so far. I've been hearing like a lot of good news, especially Marissa's son, Aiden. And yeah, so we're proud of like our students getting recognized in sports in a lot of places. I did have some questions about substitute teachers in the district. I don't know, like, do they have like any sort of training, or are they just like people who just like, oh, there's a spot open at this time, just go in, or?
Yeah, so substitute teachers in Washington State, you have to have a certificate. For many of our staff, it's folks that approach the district, they're interested in working as substitute teachers, and so we assist them in getting that certificate from the state of Washington. Then we have an electronic system that teachers can identify days they're going to be absent, and then a substitute teacher also has a login to that system and can find an open job or an open position if they think they're qualified, or if the principal, there are ways principals can control and teachers who can sub,
Okay.
but it's really that system that talks to itself, and they are trained by the district. They come in and have an onboarding. If you have a teacher, let's say someone came in and said, hey, I really want to be a sub, but only in elementary schools, and they did that for a year or two, and then decided, well, I'd like to pick up some days at the high school. They could do that across the system, but they might not have been trained by that school or that individual. So there may be some gaps there.
Yeah.
What's behind your question?
Well, so the main reason was, I'm going to do a little story. It's because I'm more of like a story person. I was in this fiber arts class, and there was a student who has certain needs. And she was really struggling with something she couldn't do. Well, I could have helped her, but she was way ahead of me. So I was like, there's no way I can help her. I barely know what I'm doing. So she was asking around, and nobody helped her because everybody was just doing their own thing. The substitute, though, there was a substitute at the time. She just told her to watch the video in Google Classroom while she was like having a crash out. I think that's what we refer to that as. And she was like getting really furious, and then I felt really bad for her. Like, I didn't know what to do. So I also didn't just want to watch her just like that. So I tried asking her what she needed, and I couldn't help her. And it was sad to see also that the sub wasn't trying to help her either, just kind of let her happen while everybody else around her was just watching her be like that. So,
Yeah, so just a couple things there. One is, in public board meetings, one of the things we have to be very cautious about is talking about personnel. Our personnel have rights as employees that we want to make sure that we protect them and protect our students. So in this instance, maybe after the meeting, you and I could talk a little bit about that, and then I could help you connect with Mrs. Atchison over at the high school, and we can talk directly about when that happened, what occurred, and provide the feedback so that, you know, students get what they deserve every day when they show up. It's challenging when teachers are gone. It's challenging for teachers to write sub plans. They don't love to be gone because the work still needs to go on, and we are paying those people to be there and deliver a service, and when they don't deliver that service, we need to know that. So you and I can catch up after the meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, great. Thank you to our students for our student rep report. We'll move on to recognition.
All right, well, it's our opportunity tonight to, like we do at each meeting, to recognize excellence in our school district and people that are doing outstanding work for our students every day. And so I'd like to invite Dr. Denise Marich forward to share a story about Scootney Springs.
Is it working now? Perfect. I would like to invite Shelley Autumn to come up here with me. I am really honored to recognize Shelley, and I've written some notes because I'm afraid I'm going to forget the best part. So I want to recognize her for her exceptional leadership, dedication, and her commitment to our school community. Shelley embodies what it truly means to lead with purpose, integrity, and a deep belief in the potential of every child. Within her team, she sets a powerful example of leadership. She establishes clear expectations, she models best practices, and she creates an environment where every team member feels supported, valued, and empowered to do their best work. As an active member of our leadership team, Shelley consistently brings thoughtful insight, innovative thinking, and solution-oriented mindset that helps guide our school forward. She holds herself and students to high expectations, and the results are evident. Her classroom consistently demonstrates strong academic outcomes, a reflection of intentional instruction, care, and a dedication that she brings to her work every day. She truly sets apart, what truly sets her apart is the depth of her commitment to students with exceptional needs and their families. Shelley goes far beyond the expectations of her role, supporting students not only academically, but also emotionally and at times financially. She has spent evenings, weekends ensuring that her students and their families have the resources, care, and support that they need to be successful. Her compassion and advocacy remind us that education is not just about instruction, it's about relationships, trust, and believing in every child. Her leadership, generosity, and heart make a lasting difference in our school community. It is with great pride and gratitude that we recognize Shelley for the incredible impact that she continues to make in the lives of our students and throughout our school. So with that,
Thank you.
for your coin.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
That was really hard to stand through, but I really appreciate it. Thank you, Denise.
I mean every word.
Well, I couldn't do it without a very supportive admin, so thank you so much for being such a wonderful principal.
Well, we make a team.
Yes.
I know it can be awkward to stand there while people say nice things about you, but thank you so much for being here and for all you do for the students and staff over there. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think we want to take a picture.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again for being here. We are going to move into board member discussion. I'm actually going to start that off with legislative reports. So 1 second, I'm going to pull something up. The legislative session is over now. They passed a bunch of stuff and a bunch of stuff failed. I'm going to talk a little bit about how that affects schools.
Okay, so I have just some outline, a little bit of an outline from WASDA about what they're saying about the legislative session. Oh, you're good. That didn't sound to do anything. Some of the things that some of the positives they wanted to highlight. There's been a lot in the news about this millionaire's tax. One of the positives that WASDA highlighted was that this tax exempts public schools, school districts, and educational service districts from all sales taxes created by this millionaire's tax. So that's good for us. WASDA was able to prevent a lot of unfunded mandates, which was a big thing for them. They didn't want new bills passed that put more strain on school districts. And though they weren't able to stop all unfunded mandates, they were able to stop quite a few of them. Another thing they pointed out that was a positive was there was some new funding set aside for small school modernization. Now, small schools, that's like very small schools, that's smaller than us, but still a positive that it was set aside for helping schools around the state. Some of the setbacks that they outlined, the LEA, Local Effort Assistance Funding, was decreased by approximately $25 million to reduce in next year's calendar year funding increase per pupil, decreases from $250 per pupil to $150 per pupil. So that's not good for us, not good for any of the schools, really. How would that affect us directly, Dr. Perez or Orrin?
Amy, if you'll come to the mic, just to make...
So the $150 per student versus the $250 per student, so that's $100 per student, so that's about $450,000 that we're budgeted to receive that we're not going to receive.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for the clarification. So that's not great for us. We were obviously hoping for an increase from the state. Another one that they pointed out was the transition to kindergarten funding was also cut. We don't think that that's going to affect our district. One of the caveats they put in that was that it won't affect places that are called child care access deserts, which Othello doesn't have a ton of options for that age of child care. So we don't think that's going to affect us, but still not good for a lot of TK programs around. And then another one that they pointed out was a decrease in funding there's a fund to cover like the depreciation of school buses, and that funding was decreased as well. So yeah, not great for that. Do you have any comments on any of those before I move on?
Maybe just a couple about the TK situation. The percentage of cut that they targeted, again, they were pretty mindful about also saying rural spaces and spaces that were pre-K deserts, students in particularly Title I school districts with high needs. We check all of those boxes, so we continue to be hopeful that our TK is going to be left alone, but we won't know that for a month or two. The other part about I think the mindset that they went into this with was it's going to be devastating. And in some of the webinars Amy's been in and others, I think it's just like, well, it was just really bad. All right, we still got to get after it, but we're not excited about where we're at. What I think is going to happen with MSOCs and all those other kinds of things are what we're seeing with fuel prices. What's that going to do to other purchases that school districts have to make? How's that going to impact other industries? And this continuous cycle of escalating costs. So again, not great news, but we have some reserve. We're in a position to address some of the deficit that way and then begin to plan for next year and what might be deeper cuts.
WASDA also provided a short list of the bills that did pass that do directly affect school districts. One of them is a prohibition on certain restraint practices. There's one for like terminology changes for non-citizen students, stuff for military family enrollment, special education evaluation report timelines, evidence-based literacy requirements, post-secondary financial aid eligibility review, and efficiencies in programming changes in public education. So those are some of the ones that WASDA pointed out that do affect school districts. And then, as Dr. Perez said, Amy has also been, attending a lot of these legislative session updates, and she sent me something that I wanted to share from her meeting. Yeah, so their organization described the legislation as deeply disappointing for K-12 education. Lawmakers failed to fund basic key education needs such as MSOC, transportation, special education, and substitute teacher costs. This lack of investment effectively amounts to a cut for districts. We emphasize that districts will need a stronger, more vocal grassroots advocacy strategy during the interim and heading into the 2027 session. So a lot of not great news for us, but now that this session is over, we move back into the advocacy phase and the planning phase. Organizations like WASDA and WASBO help us out a lot with that, and so we will be keeping close with them and seeing what we can do for our district. So, any questions or comments about the legislative reports?
So when you were talking about, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you kind of see, when you're in those meetings, where do you kind of feel that?
Like Dr. Perez said, it could have been worse.
Okay.
But yeah, nothing really went the way that they were hoping it would. At the beginning of the session, these organizations had the attitude of like, we hope that they don't. Like everyone's just saying, well, don't cut from us, and everyone's saying, don't cut from our specific area, and we didn't get any of the increases that they were hoping for. So yeah, like they said, we'll have to increase our advocacy and legislative stuff in between sessions. Anything else?
Yeah, I think on that scale that you put out there, higher ed. Had a very difficult time. So, some of the programs and offerings, particularly for marginalized students, are going to be gone. Big Ben put out a video a week or so ago about the TRIO program. It's been there for over a decade. Everyone's gone. You might have participated in that or know some students that have. It's gone away at many of the universities and colleges. The ESDs, who are regional entities, I think there's 9 in the state of Washington that help school districts, particularly smaller school districts, with support services. They've had significant cuts, more so than I think the school-based ones. But everyone's in that cycle of already being pressured by escalating costs, and now expecting or hoping for some new funds, and it just didn't show. So now we prepare, and it's year by year, right? We hope that you have, for some school districts who don't have a reserve, it's going to be a very challenging year. And then will more pressure be put on Olympia to respond? I'm not sure how in the weeds you are with this, but I'm not sure what happened to mental health supports and those kinds of things, if there were cuts in those areas as well.
We, at least in the public health realm where I work, it was a $25 million cut. So I'm like, I hope I don't lose my job either. So I understand the stress of all of it.
You can come work in Othello, though. You'll be closer.
All public health lost money, so I don't know if they'll give me a job.
Anything else for board member discussion that any of the board members had to bring up in addition to the legislative report?
Was it true that Running Start was also getting cut?
I also heard that, but I haven't heard anything official about that.
It's just a summer school portion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way that they count Running Start students, they have some enhanced funding for students who take Running Start, and sometimes you can do that in the summer as well, and the state would help pay for that. Really, the portion that went away is the summer school part of it. Mm-hmm. So I know we had some students who did some summer school Running Start this year. They're in your class, they're your age, they're seniors, but they've already graduated from CBC. They're already done with their classes because they took them in the summertime. Those options are going to go away unless the students and their families decide that they're going to pay for them. So talking about those hits to higher ed, to Big Bend, and to CBC, and those our partners around Running Start, lots of program cuts there that are coming their way, and that's one of them. Mm-hmm.
So this summer school Running Start is going away completely, or just the state funding for it?
I believe the funding for it, but they're still going to offer courses, and a kid could take those courses. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else in board member discussion? I see a note here for third grade reading. Is that
that note for third grade reading was something that Director Prowse asked me to put on there, so I think we just hold it and maintain it to the next meeting. It's really a discussion about, a broader discussion about providing data to the board, and that was what was going to get the conversation going. So when she's able to return, we'll talk through that.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to required approvals. I'll accept a motion to approve the required approvals.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes 3-0. And now we'll move on to superintendent informational items.
A couple items in there this evening. One is an administrative update. I wanted to provide the board and the public an update about an administrative decision with our preschool leadership. Jennifer Garza's transition into leading our tech services here in the district created that opening. So we had a series of interviews last week. Panel of about 10 staff had the candidates meet with the staff at the preschool, and we made a selection. And it happens to be one of our own, Amy Palmore, who's been with the district, I think, 25 years, she talked about, has worked at multiple elementary schools and had a variety of roles, is currently the dean at Wahitas. And so she's going to step into that role. She's very excited about it, and we're excited about her, the quality of candidate that we received. She'll be before the board probably at the next meeting to introduce herself and let you know about that part, but she's just transferring into that position. So I wanted you to be aware of that. I was able to meet with their staff at the preschool on Friday. John Wiseman and I went over and we made that announcement and walked them through some of the next steps. We'll be meeting with Amy in the next couple of days to plan out her entry into that position. The next one is around calendar changes. So if you remember at our, not the last board meeting, but the one before when we talked about some of the workshop outcomes, one was the placemat and how that might become a regular part of our meeting. So today's the launch of that. One of the important ones, though, was the board calendar and how that paired with enhanced and increased participation in particularly city council meetings. Two pieces to that. Marisa, if you would call up the calendar itself. You'll just note that I think it's on pages 3 and 4, the highlighted ones. Those are the meetings that would be changed for this school calendar, for this board calendar year. And so there's just a handful of them on there, and you'll see that noon designation on just a couple of those. So that's something that the board has to consider. One of the pieces in your policy review for this evening, though, is around Board Policy 1400, which is the meeting times. That requires, the current board policy indicates that our board meetings will be at 7 p.m. on the second and fourth Monday. So the adjustments, do you want to call that one up? The adjustments to that policy I think are up tonight for a first reading and then potential approval at our next meeting, and then we would approve that new calendar. So just wanted to make sure that the public saw that. It was a continuation of the conversation we had a few weeks ago and let you know why that modification was necessary. Formalizing the work from the workshop and putting our stamp on it. This is what we're going to do.
So we have to formalize like the exact time where it's going to be every month.
We want our board policies to be accurate, absolutely. So, and Dr. Meek brought it up, and it was indicated that you can see the first line there, right? We're going to meet at 7 p.m. If someone new moved into the community, or someone from the outside, or a vendor was saying, "Hey, I wonder when they meet," and decided to show up, and we weren't there. There's also all the RCWs around proper posting of meetings and location and time and whatnot. So we should bring it in alignment. Okay.
Can I add one more thing to our discussion tonight?
Yeah.
I wanted to share that Dr. Meek and I got to meet last week about the Future Ready Schools recruitment, and we try to be really strategic on some additional invitations to the community around inviting them to the table. And so he was gracious and made an invitation because I said that I would personally go and invite folks. But we wanted to hit people, small businesses, people of faith, parents especially, people who are in civic groups. And so if you also know people outside those groups or additional people that you want to invite, please let me know. I have the invitations and I can make contact with them. I'd love to do that for the board and for the Future Ready team.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, our last meeting was, just a quick comment on it, after the levy, you get through that first part and say now the real work begins of preparing for putting something else in front of our community. And it's going to require a lot of good thinkers. So thank you for taking that on and helping us think about the makeup and the size of the group.
And was there the financial report, the board financial report? Is that you as well?
That's just typically on there for the board's review.
Okay,
But yeah,
great.
if there are no questions.
Okay. For policy review, there are several there that are first readings, so review those, and then we will be approving them next week if there's no changes. Do we have any public comments tonight? No? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to upcoming events and board self-assessment. There's a special board meeting on March 30th for student board rep interviews at 11 o'clock at the high school. Spring break is coming up. Then, of course, we have our NSBA school board conference, which most of us will be attending. So we're excited for that. There's a regular board meeting on the 13th. I think it's the day after we get back from NSBA. And then a Lutacauga site visit on April 20th and another board meeting on April 27th. Any other upcoming events to add to that? Future Ready Schools meeting, the next Future Ready Schools meeting is April 16th. Great. And when is prom? When did you say prom was going to be?
I don't think it's chosen yet.
May
Okay.
19th?
I don't know.
Let me double check. Oh, May 16th. May
No,
16th.
not till May, okay.
Yeah, on a Saturday.
And when you will choose the theme by when?
Well, there was a prom meeting at 7 today, so they're
today.
discussing that, yeah, with parents. So they probably couldn't come to a conclusion of what the theme's gonna be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, for board self-assessment of the meeting, missing board members, which is a con, to be clear.
Our recognition was very nice. It's always such a blessing to kind of see teachers just pour more and more into kids and building those relationships. And so, yeah, thank you for that.
Anything else for self-assessment of this meeting?
Thank you for not making the legislative sound so depressing.
Yep, I do what I can. Okay, if there's nothing else, we're going to recess for 5 minutes before we re-adjourn for executive session for 15 minutes. It'll be to discuss the performance of a public employee, but no action will be taken following the meeting. Thank you.